Today, we are blessed to have Brahmachari Yukt Chaitanya ji from Chinmaya Bhakti Zone. Brahmachari ji was a graphic designer by profession. He has been graduated in Commerce stream from Bhavans College. He has also pursued applied arts from Rachna College. It is captivating to know that he set foot in Chinmaya Mission as a client and became a devotee and eventually a disciple. Brahmachari ji pursued his 2 years Vedanta course in Sandipni Sadhanalaya at Powai from 2011 to 2013 under the tutelage of Pujya Swami Advayananda ji and Pujya Swami Sharadananda ji. He was conferred upon Brahmacharya Diksha by Pujya Guruji Swami Tejomayananda ji in 2013 and was posted in Mahim for Seva and is now currently posted in Borivali since 2018. It is spellbinding to know that he loves cricket, hockey, and photography as hobbies. We are happy to have you here with us, Brahmachari ji. Today, Brahmachari ji will delve into the topic Upasana, going nearer to God. Hari Om.
Hari Mama, thank you very much. My pranams and salutations to all who are attending this session. And I sincerely congratulate the entire team of Chinmaya Prerna for this creative initiative and perfect execution of such a beautiful initiative. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to be addressing all our devotees of Bhagwan and Puja Gurudev. Thank you very much.
It is our pleasure, Brahmachari ji, to have you here.
Thank you, Amma. Thank you. Now, to the discussion, the topic in discussion today is Upasana, bringing us closer to God. Yes, the topic is very apt for us, but when you look at it from the standpoint of Bhagwan, he would be wondering, what close are you talking? I am as close as I can be. The problem is you. Hence, the topic is very apt for us, Upasana, which will bring us closer to God, because God is always close to us. It is we who are always feeling away from Bhagwan, or we are away from Bhagwan. So in our tradition, our scriptures has given us several religious and spiritual practices to be practiced regularly. Among those, different types of religious and spiritual exercises or practices, there is one discipline which is very important, useful, and very, very effective. And that discipline is called Upasana. So much so that an entire section of the Veda is dedicated to this Upasana. It is called the Upasana Kanda. We have the Karma Kanda, Upasana Kanda, and the Jnana Kanda as sections in the Veda. Also, an entire ashrama is designed for this Upasana Kanda. The Grahastha ashrama deals with Karma Yoga or the Karma Kanda, and the Vanaprastha ashrama deals with the Upasana Kanda. This clearly shows that Upasana is a very, very important aspect which we all need to know and inculcate in our lives. Upasana literally means sitting or staying near. Upa means near, asa means to be, to sit, to be near. They have said to be near, but near what? Pizza Hut, Domino's, Starbucks, near what? Near Bhagwan. There's another word which is very similar and which is very well used by people, that is Upavasa. Usually, when you say Upavasa, people usually think it is with fasting. They associate Upavasa with only fasting. But Upavasa means what? Upa means to be near, Vasa means to stay. Vasati, Vasa. Vasa means to stay. Swargavasi, we say, no? That means Swargavasi, who is Swargavasi now, who was here, is now become a resident of Swarga. So Vasa means to stay. So Upavasa means to stay near whom? Bhagwan. So one devotee who wants to stay near the Lord the whole day naturally will spend not much time in eating food or cooking food. Hence, it got an implied meaning of not eating food or fasting. So, Upavasa primarily means being close to the Lord or staying near the Lord throughout the day and not concentrate on any external searching for happiness or selfish actions. So, Upavasa means staying near, Upasana means being near. Both mean what? Being near or proximate to Bhagwan. Now, this proximity has two levels. One, the physical proximity, and the other, the mental proximity. Physical proximity is being near the Lord in the temple room or the puja room. But more important than physical proximity is mental proximity. All of us are in some way physically proximate to Bhagwan because our parents take us to the temple or we take our children to the temple, whether we are interested or not. For the sake of the children, we take them to the temple. Parents, we accompany them to the temple. Out of fear we go to the temple, out of some requirement we go to the temple, to put a petition to Bhagwan to give me something we go to the temple. So physically somehow we become physically proximate to Bhagwan. But what about mental proximity? This mental proximity is much more important than physical proximity. Of course physical proximity is required, please continue, but it should be backed with mental proximity as well. Mental proximity is that by which we dwell upon the thoughts of the Lord. So, mentally dwelling upon the Ishvara or Bhagwan is the real meaning of Upa Asanam or Upavasaha. So, as I said, both physical and mental proximity are important, but between the two, mental proximity is far more important and far more effective, because physically I may be in the temple, but mentally, if I'm wandering outside into my business or work or my family or friends or some other bhoga, then it really doesn't serve the purpose. So the Shastra declares among Kaika, Vachika, and Manasika. Kaika, physical, Vachika, speech, and Manasika, that is mental. Manasika is considered to be the most powerful, most effective, and most rewarding. Even in japa, there are three types of japa: Ucha japa, loud japa, then Upamshu japa or whispering japa, or Manasika japa. That is, it is completely repeating the Lord's name at the mental level where we don't even shake our tongue, throat, or our lips. 100% mental. So, mental proximity of the Lord is a very, very important form of upasana. So, this upasana, our Shastra has prescribed as a regular activity and not just on occasions. It is considered to be a Nitya karma. Karmas are of five types: Nitya, Naimitika, then Kamya karma. What is Kamya karma? Desire prompted selfish actions, doing actions for one's own happiness. Then is Nishiddha karma, prohibited actions. Then is Prayaschitta karma, actions of atonement, means to destroy the papa created by the Kamya karma as well as Nishiddha karma. So, what are the two karmas we are really supposed to perform? Nitya karma and Naimitika karma. Nitya karma, daily duties. Naimitika karma, occasional duties. A duty which has arisen because of a particular occasion. So, this upasana is considered to be a Nitya karma. So, thus, Ishvara Upasanam, Upa, to stay near. Asanam is to be, Upa, near. So to be near whom? Ishvara. So this Ishvara Upasanam is considered to be a Nitya and a compulsory karma. It is also called Saguna Brahma Vishaya Manasa Vyapara, mental activity in which I enjoy the presence of the Lord or the thought of the Lord or the company of the Lord. To understand the power of this Manasika karma or to do upasana 100% at the Manasika level, yes, to begin with, when we are all beginners, we will find it difficult. Do it at the level of the physical level, the japa. Then quickly come to, sorry, physical, the loud japa, ucha japa. Then come to vachika, that is very silent whispering that others also won't hear. There's no sound coming, only lips are moving. Then quickly come to manasika, because actual japa is manasika japa. The most effective is manasika japa. It is a little difficult to begin with manasika, but practice ucha, then upamshu, and quickly come to manasika. So there's a story from the era of the Nayanmars where it clearly indicates the power of a manasika puja or manasika japa or anything, any upasana done at the mental level or manasika upasana. According to the story, one of the Nayanmars, who are 63 in numbers, they were there, I think, during the 6th or between the 6th and the 8th century in Tamil Nadu, who spearheaded the Bhakti movement in Tamil Nadu and who were great poets also. So, one among them, he built a temple for Bhagwan Shiva in his mind. So, he created a beautiful, grand temple for Bhagwan in his mind. And at the same time, the king of the place where this saint was creating in his mind, where he was staying, that king also was building a very expensive temple. So king being rich, he can afford it. The king had fixed a time for Kumbha Abhishekam, discussing with the priest. After fixing the date, when the king went to sleep, the Lord appeared in his dream and he told him, "Hey, listen, my bhakta is doing Kumbha Abhishekam on the same day which you have fixed, and that is very important for me. So, my dear, you please change your dates." The king's ego couldn't accept it. He said, "I am doing such a grand, such a powerful, such a big temple, and he's going somewhere else." So he asked him, "Where are you going? Where is this Bhakta?" So Bhagwan gave him the address. So what he did, he went there in search of the temple. Now he's searching the length and breadth of that place. He's not finding the temple. How will he find? It is not there outside for physical perception. Then he sees one saint sit under a tree and meditate. And he goes to that saint, and when he opens his eyes, he asks him, "Maharaj, यहाँ पर temple कहाँ है?" Of course, he didn't ask in Hindi. He would have asked in Tamil. I don't know Tamil, so I'll ask in Hindi. "Where is the temple? Temple कहाँ है?" He said, "This temple is in my mind. I have created the entire temple Manasika, and I have already fixed the Kumbha Abhishekam for so and so date." When the king heard, he realized the power of this Manasika Upasana. So hence Manasa Upasana is one of our Nitya Karma, one of our very important karma, but unfortunately most of it most of us are not doing it regularly. In fact, Sandhya Vandanam is one of the most important upasanam. But the beauty of it is we need not do everything physically. We have an option of doing it mentally also. But why do we need upasana? Why should I do upasana? Okay, it is important. What do you mean it is important? It is important means it refines us, it purifies us. We are full of impurity and distractions. It is this upasana which purifies us. What do you mean by purify? It is a samskar. What do you mean by samskar? Samskars mean, for us to understand in simple terms, in Bhagavad Gita chapter 16, you have the Asura Sampatti and Daiva Sampatti, Daivi Sampatti. It clearly means samskars or purification means deleting the Asura Sampatti, deleting the Asura
ஏம்மா
Sampatti,
இவ்வளவு சவுண்ட் கேட்டா எனக்கு டிஸ்டர்ப் ஆகுமா?
deleting the Asura Sampatti and installing the Daivi Sampatti simply is to be understood as samskara. But what is the purpose of samskara? Why should I undergo the process of samskara or purification? This is required because ultimately in our religious or spiritual life, we will have to offer ourselves unto the Lord. Initially, we will offer various things to the Lord, from Naivedya to Dhupa, Arati, this, that, money, gold. You offer so many things to the Lord, but ultimately, the ultimate stage of bhakti, which is known as Atma Nivedana, that is a time where we have to offer ourselves to the Lord. There are 9 forms of devotion: Shravanam, to hear the Lord's name; Kirtanam, chanting his glory; Smaranam, remembering the Lord; Padasevanam, serving the Lord's feet; Archanam, worshipping the Lord; Vandanam, offering obeisance unto the Lord; Dasyam, serving the Lord as though we are his dasa, his servant; Sakyam, developing a kind of friendship with Bhagwan; and last, ninth one, Atma Nivedanam, completely offering ourselves to the Lord. It is a stage where the bhakta does not see himself separate from Bhagwan. The bhakta Bhagavan division is gone, in which the bhakta offers himself to the Lord completely. And if I have to offer myself to the Lord, how should I be, impure or pure? When we offer anything to Bhagwan, don't we clean it well? Don't we purify it? Even before we begin the Bhagwan, the Purva Puja Bhag, where we purify things. Na? We purify our body, we purify the asana, we purify the things that are going to be used to offer our love and reverence to Bhagwan. Apavitra pavitra va sarva vastangato piva. So we say the mantra and we sprinkle water, is it not? So when I'm offering all these things, I know that I have to purify. But when I have to one day or the other offer myself to the Lord, shouldn't I purify myself? I need to purify myself. What do you mean by purify? Any thought or any action done for my selfish happiness is an impurity. So when we have these impure thoughts, means when we have these thoughts which propel me into activity for my own selfish fulfillment of desires or my own selfish happiness, it is called an impurity. They are called vasanas. So we have to destroy this vasana. This vasana creates restlessness. So chitta shuddhi creates chitta chanchalyam. So we have impurities, we don't go close to the Lord, and because of this impurity, even if we go close to the Lord, there is no focus on the Lord. So what does this Nitya Upasana do? It refines me. It refines me, it destroys my vasanas, it destroys my distraction. Not only do I become pure, but I also get focus and I make myself fit for offering myself to the great Lord. Also, a question can come up: how do I know whether I have got refined or not? The Shastra very clearly tells, the Dharma Shastras very clearly say, if you have lived your life according to Dharma, purification is a natural output of it. However, for you to know where you stand, for you to understand your moving, If you observe a person who is following dharma and doing upasana, you will see that that person gets eightfold virtues. And when we do regular upasana for developing these virtues, it is called upasana yoga. When I do an upasana for worldly benefits, there are people who do upasana for worldly benefits, sakama karma, then it is called upasana. But when we do it for refining, for purifying, for bringing focus and making myself fit for offering myself to the Lord, it is called upasana yoga. Yoga means to unite. Unite where? With the Lord. So this upasana becomes the upaya, the means for me to unite to the Lord. Means what? This upasana, right now I'm not capable of uniting with the Lord. Why? There is tremendous distraction. My mind is fragmented into all sides of the world and I'm impure. This impurity leads to distraction, and I this upasana purifies me. This purification automatically destroys distraction and brings me focus and makes me fit to offer myself to the Lord. What are the eight virtues? Daya, sensitivity of mind; Shanti, patience; Anasuya, not having jealousy seeing the progress of others; Shaucham, purity at thought, word, and deed level. Means what? May my motive always be for the common cause, for a common goal, for the team. Always be noble. Anayasaha, enjoying a kind of a complete quietude. Means what? Physically, mentally, verbally, I am always enjoying a calm disposition at my body language, vocal language. Anybody who comes in contact with me, what reflects from me is an amazing amount of calmness and gentleness. But this should be also at the mind level. What is the next point? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ho gaya na? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. Then akarpanyam. Karpanya, self-pity. Akarpanya, freedom from self-pity. Self-degradation. A kind of a low self-image. Why should I feel like that? I belong to Bhagwan. That's all. I don't care. I am free from this self-pity. Aspraha, a kind of freedom from hankering on the world of objects for continuous joy. Complete freedom. There is no happiness in the world. The world has nothing to offer to me. I am the very source of happiness. I want Bhagwan self to know who am I. Aspra, complete detachment from the world of objects, freedom from greed to the T. And the last one, Mangalam, a pleasant and cheerful personality, an endearing personality. Thus, when we see these effects manifest in different proportion, we can understand that we are progressing on the path. And if we are not, we will also know what we need to do to bring about these transformation. So upasanas are of many types. One of the most powerful is doing it mentally. So you can do Sandhya Vandanam for purification, for destruction of Papa. You can do Manasa Puja. Then you can do Manasa Parayanam. Then you can do Manasa Japa. So we don't have much time to discuss at length, but we need to take up some upasana, which is a nitya karma for all of us, to purify ourselves and to become one with Bhagwan. Bhagwan is always available. Please understand, everything is happening under the supervision of Bhagwan. Nothing in our life happens as an accident. Everything is happening is according to Bhagwan's wish. He is the one who is the karma phala data. Means what? I create the karma phala by my karma, but he modifies it and gives it to me in my life. It may be painful, but he modifies it to the best of his ability to give me as less pain as possible, or sometimes more pain if required. But every karma phala that comes to me is to uplift me, provided I am able to give it the right response. Bhagwan always is interested in us. The problem is our interest doesn't sustain every time, every day, every moment. He is all the time focused on us, but we are focused on him also with so many other issues in hand. May we invoke him in our heart in each and every thought and activity we do. Hence, Karma Yoga is one of the beautiful ways of also calling it Upasana, because Upasana means what? Literally means to stay near the Lord. What is Karma Yoga? I do my actions for Bhagwan's happiness. Means what? I do it to the best of my ability. I do it in a way which will 100% please Lord. And suppose we have to please Lord, what is the quality of output that has to be there in my activity? And if I'm doing it for Bhagwan's happiness, it can't be desire prompted selfish actions. I will have to do my Niyata karma, that is the Nitya Naimitika karma. So how do I perform my Nitya Naimitika karma? To perfection. And what is the next step? Whatever results come out of it, I take it as Bhagwan's prasad, because Bhagwan is karma phaladata. He modifies every effect that has to be there of my action to my benefit, to my in my favor, provided I have the maturity and eyes to see it in the right spirit. If I'm the one who always cribs and cries and complains, then there is no progress happening. But when I look at an event which has come into my life, which is painful, tell Bhagwan, I love you, I know you care for me, I am ready to go through any experience you want, because I know you are doing it in my well being, and I will prove you right that I am your Bhakta, I will make you proud, I'll make you happy. Draupadi Mata, when she was being stripped of her sari by the Dushasana, she was holding on to the sari and calling out to everyone. Bhishma Pitama, Dronacharya, such Kripacharya, such Maharathis, her five husbands are such Maharathis. None could help, and she was holding on to that sari. But Dushta Dushasana, having the power of 100 elephants, was easily able to try to remove the sari. And when the last turn was there, she gave up everyone. She lifted her hands and said, Hey Krishna. And Bhagwan arrived in a flash, took the form of a sari, and covered mother. How long did Bhagwan come to take to help mother? A flash. She just had to remember him from the heart. But she could remember him because she was always close to him. Being far from the Lord because of our selfish desires, we cannot remember God with this intensity in difficulty or pain. We depend on the world outside, but we don't depend on Bhagwan. Bhagwan says, don't depend on them, don't take their support, because they themselves are on support system. They themselves don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. How are they going to support you? Come to me, I love you, I want you, I'm waiting for you. You are acting difficult. I have already proposed you. From Janma Janmantara, I'm sending a proposal. You are rejecting it. At least in this human life, this birth, because of the power of intellect, we are able to use the power of choice. Maybe choose correctly, maybe inspire ourselves to love Bhagwan, because Bhagwan's contribution is immense. Nothing belongs to us other than our dushta ahankara. Everything else belongs to Bhagwan. We use his things and we don't give him that attention. How wrong it is on our part. May we all, by Bhagwan's grace, by Puja Gurudev's, Guruji's, and Swami Puja Swami Swarupananji's blessing, may we all from today take up one sankalpa to do one upasana, anything which suits your temperament. Take it up and be consistent with it. That is the only way for us to not only become successful outside, but also help us resonate a kind of peace and happiness within. My best wishes to all of you, and I again thank the entire Prerna team for giving me this beautiful opportunity to speak to all of you. Thank you very much. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om Brahmachari ji, your informative words have given us a sense of connection to something bigger than ourselves, involving us in a search for meaning in life. We feel blessed, Brahmachari ji. We express our sincere gratitude in having you here. Keep blessing all of us, and thank you for being here.
Om Shri Chinmay Sadguru Amma. Thank you, Amma. Thank you.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, Amma.